Hey, it's Warren from OnTableTop. Welcome to 2019. This week we have a prize. We're giving away the Gloomspite Gitz Battle Tome and Scragrot the Loon King. Glorious model. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is remember to subscribe, share the video, hit like, and comment with, if you had a goblin army, what would you call it? We can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And finally, remember to get the notifications, ding my dong. Hey guys, welcome to The Weekender. Yes, it's on Tabletop. I'm Warren, and this morning I'm joined by Lloyd, Jerry, and Ben. First Weekender back from the new year. First Weekender of 2019.
Start the year as you mean to go on.
Yep. Right. I've just got a couple of quick announcements that I need to make. Okay. First one is we are establishing some All-Ireland teams. Some All-Ireland gaming teams, and the first one that we're having a crack at is we're putting a call out for our players to join our All-Ireland Bolt Action team. So this is a team that we're going to send to the World Team Tournament over in Poland on, I think it's the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. So if you're interested in joining that, I'm laughing at the criteria here, because according to Sam, you must currently reside in either Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland, and you must have at least got a great granny that was
using the Jack Charlton maneuver there. Huh?
So it's
doesn't really say great granny though, does it?
So if your great grandmother was Irish and you can be here, you are in. Yeah, we have a post about this over on tabletop.com. Go and check it out. It's part of our continued local initiative on the island of Ireland, where we want to try and help establish and support various game teams and stuff like that. And we're going to give them use of the visitor center for practice days and whatever ways that we can support as best we can. So
yeah, which is cool because then they have like a fancy training camp.
Yes, it's like
think go all Rocky.
Yeah, it's like Rocky, but you're the Soviet guy. All right. So it's like you'd be like,
always be drag off, never be Rocky. Nobody wants to be punching meat.
No, you're not punching meat.
If they want to be Rocky, though, we just throw them in the entry out the back.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
You can relax. Me and Justin, we will hit the meat. You can just work out in our state of the art Soviet style gaming mecca. That is the OnTableTop.
It is Soviet now with all those metal frames everywhere.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have to get a set of scales and see who can roll the hardest.
Yes. And we will let you into all of our secrets, especially Lloyd's secrets of baking dice.
I bake no dice.
Oh, yeah.
I bought them like that.
Oh sure. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're interested, drop an email to sam@ontabletop.com. So that is sam@ontabletop.com if you're interested, or you and some friends are interested, whatever. We have 4 spots for this current team event, but we would like to maybe have a couple of reserves or something like that. So please do get in touch. Bold Action All-Ireland team. Yeah. Right. Welcome back, gentlemen. It is fantabulous to be able to sit with you this morning. Ben, we have a few more quick things we're doing. We're changing some stuff up.
Yeah. So we're doing a lot more sort of written content for the website, which is pretty awesome to see. So we've got a whole bunch of the team working on some really nice things as well. But we've also got community submissions. So obviously, we've seen people, write articles for the website in the past. But we've got some new people joining us to do some more stuff this year as well. Starting off with one that came out this week, which was the solo wargaming article, which came out on Monday. And that was a really fascinating deep dive look into some of the reasons why you might want to get started in solo wargaming. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at that in a little bit more detail, coming up with some examples and all kind of things like that too. So if you really enjoy that kind of side of things and looking at maybe some aspects of the hobby that you haven't really sort of looked at in greater detail with us over the last couple of years, then we're starting to try and find people out there that love the kind of games that maybe sort of sit on the fringes and things like that. Like in the past we've done some really cool stuff with the Judge Dredd game and sort of 2000 AD, and hopefully we're doing some more stuff in that in the future as well, which would be really cool.
Well, it's really important that we cover this because there was a very, very famous philosopher. Was it Confucius or someone said that there comes a time in every human being's life where they have no option but to play with themselves. And we're addressing
viable,
that.
yeah.
We're addressing that front and center. So it's if you had to pick a game that you wish you were able to play by yourself, what would it be? I love throwing them on the spot.
We know what you're going to pick.
Do we?
Well, it's always defaults to Saga. Doesn't
It
it?
always defaults to Saga there somewhere.
Regardless of what the question is. Who
What
do
about
think?
you, Ben? If you could pick any game that that you could experience by yourself, what would it be?
I think it'd be really fun. Like my immediate sort of diversion was towards Frostgrave because I never really got to actually play that game, and I know that has some modes so you can play in solo. But I'd love to actually go back to Mordheim, and just because no one else will really play with me at the moment, I'd love to just go back and play Mordheim by myself. I think that could be really cool. Or Hero Quest. Oh, Hero Quest could be really fun by myself. I could do that.
Hero Quest would be good, yeah.
Yeah, Hero Quest would be good. I'd kind of be onto that one.
Yeah.
I'd probably go for something, maybe not even a specific game, but the amount of times where I've started deep diving into a campaign, whether it's a historic one like we started doing from D-Day landings through to Berlin, and we got about halfway through before we sort of ran out of puff or saga camps. Being able to just go, I don't care if other people don't turn up.
Yeah.
I can go throughout the 100 days of Napoleon up to Waterloo, you know, that sort of thing. Actually just go, here's the big time period I want to cover, and I know I can get from point A to point B because I'm the only person that I have to rely on.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with lone gaming, doing it on your own. That's a really good way to look at it, because it was really frustrating when the campaign just died off.
Because people couldn't make it, and games were pushed to one side, and not having to rely on somebody else there. It doesn't matter what the game is. Mm-hmm. It's being able to complete it.
And that's exactly what Evil Stu talked about in the article. He was talking about all those kind of things, like where you want to set up campaigns that you want to play through by yourself and see how things happen. And it's really good for historical gaming in particular, because you can try and take that sort of like general's eye view of everything and see how things would have played out back in the day and things. And maybe you could do something differently too. So
Yeah, it's obviously I'm having a bit of a joke about the solo gaming, but it is a case of, like, if you were whittling away an evening, if you had a game that had an AI deck, even from the perspective of just practicing against it, the likes of an AI deck. Now, obviously, for some games, it's much more feasible than others.
Depends on what you're into, like, because if you're sitting building and painting miniatures and things, and you don't have someone to play with, you still have stuff to do.
Yeah.
You still got building and painting and stuff to do.
Yeah.
I can see if you've board games and stuff where there's no once it's up and put together, that's kind of the end of the activity. You might think, oh, well, I'd like to be able to play this. But on the war games miniature side of things, there are things to be doing even when you don't have an opponent. An opponent.
I know there's an awful lot of, certainly in the historic background, there's an awful lot of solo war games rules and books out there. Don Featherstone, who pretty much wrote the book on a lot of wargaming, literally.
Yeah.
He did a solo set. The Osprey book I'm using, Men Who Would Be Kings for Orcs Drift, has a built-in solo play called Playing Against Mr. Babbage's Engine, in a little reference to Charles Babbage, thinking machine. And it's just a simple set of, if A, do B, if B, do C, and so on. And so you play out as much as you can, because the problem is when you're playing solo, if you don't have the mechanics there, if you're just playing a normal game, you v you, you will automatically start to favor one side or the other. Whereas if you have that built in, and it seems to be more prevalent in historic games that they exist like that already. Whereas with the exception of sort of dungeon crawler board games, you don't really see many AI decks kicking around for fantasy and sci-fi games per se. You'll definitely get them in dungeon crawlers, but I don't think there's an Infinity equivalent, for example, or a 40k or Age of Sigmar or whatever happens to be.
One of the games that for me had the most potential was Myth from Megacon Games. Yeah. Now it was a game that had huge potential. It had an underlying game system that could have been amazing, but unfortunately, they totally dropped the ball on it, and it became unworkable. But one of the things that they did in that game, and it was that they worked on the basis of giving all of the creatures instincts, and that I thought was very, very interesting, because you could almost take that to any war game, where for every main unit you basically determine what its instinctive behavior is. So whenever that unit activates, then it says, well, here is my instinct. My instinct is to attack, or my instinct is to run away, or my instinct is to do this. And it was a really interesting way of giving units a particular flavor. And from a solo play perspective, because Myth could easily have been played solo, because the characters had, it was a fully cooperative game, and fully cooperative games you can just play on your own. You don't need other people there to do it. So, but taking that instinct mechanic and then bringing it across to the likes of Saga or 40K or some of the other big Monster Mash kind of games, I think that could be quite interesting, because it doesn't have to be.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah,
anyway.
like how sophisticated does it have to be in order for it to be
to function?
To be an enjoyable, to be a worthy experience.
Yeah.
Well, let's you mentioned Saga there, right? If you played it and you put your miniatures all on bases instead, so there was like 4 or 5 bases of miniatures running around rather than lots of miniatures, that would be a way to simplify down the movement and stuff. So it's basically, all right, here's the instinct for that unit. So although it sounds complex, it may be more complex than I'm thinking, but there isn't actually that many blocks to be moving around to give
battle
instincts
board
to.
would be the problem with Saga, because so much of that is the mechanic base, whereas the actual game itself is very simple.
You could just roll dice though and just have it, and then just put the so like I said there and there. Yeah, but it's the decision making.
Yeah, it's the decision making for Saga. Saga takes it to extreme because it's so complex on that part.
Yeah.
But Mantic had a AI deck for Dungeon Saga, which was so, but they refined it for Star Saga, and it works fantastically well. You flip a card. The card has a color code, each of which goes to a hero, and it will then give you a little, activate X number of minions, and if they are hand-to-hand combat based, they will move towards whatever color hero you've drawn. So if you flipped over the yellow hero, and the yellow hero is Kirby, then it will run towards Kirby. And if they can reach an attack, they'll reach an attack. If they happen to have a ranged weapon, then they will sit back and fire at Kirby. If Kirby isn't available or not targetable, it will go to the last person who activated. And at which point, always letting somebody go last means that they're nearly always going to get shot in the face. And very quickly, the cooperation breaks down there, because people start going, oh no, I'm not going last this time. You can go last, because I just took a face full of flamer from the last guy. So and as a little AI deck, the first few games we played through of Dungeon Saga, we didn't play with a GM, because we went, well, we'll see how the cooperation side works, and it works fantastically well. I think the retro
This is Star Saga.
No, this is Star Saga. Sorry, I think they're retrofitting it to Dungeon Saga. I think, but it had a version of it itself. So I think for some things, solo play works better than others, but it's definitely viable. And
Well,
you know, the likes of The Walking Dead pretty much is solo play. You could play that, because you just play a few characters, because all the zombies kind of just control themselves anyway. The only thing you would get into is I would throw in a little random card here or there to make sure that the threat level does go up or down, because you would play cautiously with all the characters perhaps, whereas anytime I play it, I just go, hell's bells, just get the panic up, I love it.
Well, we have a ton of new format stuff that we're going to be rolling out this year. If you're interested in contributing or working along with us, do reach out to Ben at OnTableTop.com and Sam at OnTabletop.com, or either of them, and get in touch and let us know, because we're always interested in contributors and stuff that we can work alongside to either do written articles or possibly even stuff on video or interviews or whatever. So do get in touch. But we're also going to be ramping up. There's going to be a lot more unboxings. We've got a new hobby show that is in the works, so hopefully that'll be along very shortly, and some other stuff that we're working on. So we've got some exciting times ahead, guys. Okay, Ben, news. what has been happening? Can you bring us back up to speed?
Yeah, sure. So the first big bit of news is that the guys at Battle Systems have now got their pre-orders live for Core Space. So if you want to get stuck into Core Space, which is this awesome, amazing storytelling narrative skirmish game that you play on the tabletop with their fantastic terrain and their exquisite looking miniatures as well, then that's all ready for you to go and check out over there. So if you didn't get involved in the Kickstarter, you've got some chances to go and pick up some of the crews and stuff there too. I believe all the pre-orders are going to be going out in sort of March time, so you've not got too long to wait. But you can get yourself a big start set, which comes with a whole bunch of terrain, 2 different crews, and a whole bunch of other bits and pieces in there too. You've got accessories and the like as well. There's also a deluxe rulebook that you can get your hands on, and there are 4 different crews that you can currently pick up from the web store as well. So as you can see when you look at some of the miniatures there, they're looking absolutely stunning. Really full of character and really diverse and interesting as well. I love their styles of aliens they've been working on, and all the humans look different too, which I think is really, really important as well. And as you might have seen in some of our Let's Plays for Core Space, the game plays really, really cool too. There's some I really love all the like things you can do, running around in the terrain, opening boxes and all that kind of thing as well. It's all very, very interactive, and it feels like a narrative, immersive experience. So if you want to get yourselves involved in Core Space, you've got some cool pre-orders going up for that now. You can go and check out. So.
Absolutely, I think it's one of the games to watch for 2019 Core Space. I love I was watching. It reminds me a bit. Previously, it obviously reminded me of Han Solo and Firefly, but it actually also reminds me quite a lot of the potential of like Guardians of the Galaxy. It just has just has that vibe about it that is just so cool. So, next up we have Gloomspite Gitz. For Age of Sigmar. The goblins are back.
Yeah, so the goblins are actually back on the tabletop for the guys at Games Workshop and Age of Sigmar. They're coming back with quite a vengeance. There's quite a lot of squigs, there's quite a lot of mayhem, there's quite a lot of crazy, colourful characters in there as well. And over the sort of last couple of weeks of the Christmas period, moving into the new year, they showed off a whole bunch of previews of some of the new units, which you can see presented here in the news article we did last week. They've got their new character there, which is really cool, called Scragrot, who looks absolutely insane. I love that guy. I just want to clarify, so it's the Gloomspite Gitz. I think I may have written it wrong in the running order there, but yes, they're very cool indeed. There's also their Moon Clan Warlords there, which I think is just hilarious. And it was immediately hit by like a Jim Henson kind of vibe, especially from the start of the shoes, the metal shoes as well, which I thought was really good. But as you scroll down through there, you'll see some of the other amazing miniatures in here, and it really shows off this new, Age of Sigmar was very much this like high fantasy take on what they were doing with Warhammer, but then you kind of thought that maybe a lot of that sort of hilarity and that black humor was getting lost in the mix. This shows that they're really going back to that and bringing it back to the fore with the goblins, as you might have expected, especially when you see some of the squigs and sort of how they're presented on the tabletop, which I thought was really good. Some of the coolest models actually that are coming out are actually the Troggos, so it's their sort of new take on the trolls. So way back in time, we had the stone trolls, the rock trolls. They've been seriously updated and given a huge overhaul aesthetically. So they're looking absolutely amazing in their blue with their really cool weapons and all kinds of things like that. And I believe there's also the Dankhold Troggoth as well, which is their big sort of crazy, monstrous giant version too.
What a beautiful model.
There's also actually a character version of that troll. So if you want to try and play through Age of Sigmar with an entirely troll army, then there's a character you can take, which will turn all of these into battle line. So you can use them in your game of Age of Sigmar as well. So yeah, there's some really cool stuff coming for the goblins going forward. Obviously, there's new terrain, there's new spells. You know, those massive spells that they've got now that just last forever, the endless ones that look absolutely crazy on the battlefield. We may have had, I think we did some painting tutorials of some of the ones that came out originally. So if you want to go and check that out. But yeah, it's really nice seeing what they're doing with Age of Sigmar, building on the world, going towards a faction that maybe was a little bit on the fringes again, which is really cool. And hopefully we'll see them do some more stuff with some of the others soon as well. So yeah, very cool.
I always loved the Night Goblins. I have a Night Goblin army.
Yeah,
yeah, I do. I really must fish it out. I'm planning to pull out a couple of the old fantasy armies I have and see if I could rebase them and bring them into the Age of Sigmar. And but I tell you, as nice as they are, that stuff's gorgeous.
That is really cool.
That is absolutely gorgeous. I love that they kept the Fanatics.
Yeah,
Fanatics are an absolute cornerstone of Goblin armies. One of the finest units that ever was invented.
They do as much damage to your own army as they do to the enemy, which is perfect. So
Proper. It's only right and just.
I like the wee you guys riding the squigs with the lances.
The squig hoppers.
Squigs are incredible. I like the big squigs too.
The mangler squigs.
Yeah, they're just it's so dynamic. And it also, even with the new fanatics, did you notice the way that they have the centrifugal forces working not only on that but also on the hats, and it's just so well done. Beautiful army. And for anybody that's a fan of goblins, I'm just wondering, will it mix in with my existing Night Goblin stuff?
Well, they'll probably be bigger. They look bigger. Would be
a lot of the sort of basic sort of Night Goblin units are still pretty much the same though. They've still got the shooters and the stabbers. So if you've got that kind of like core force of Night Goblins, they're still going to merge quite nicely with what's coming out. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that stuff in the flesh. Okay, we had some New Year reveals by Games Workshop as well. Ben, what did they show off? Yeah, so there was two different posts that we put out for this because there was quite a lot of stuff to show off. But the first one of these was looking towards a lot of the stuff that's happening in the world of Warhammer 40,000. And the first thing they showed off was a creature from the sort of Xenos libraries that everyone has kind of seen but never really had on the tabletop, and that's the Anvil. So they're going to be including this monstrous Xenos beast into the games that you play of Blackstone Fortress.
Nice.
So there's going to be lots of scenarios put into the mix where you can play as sort of like going around trying to hunt down the Anvil, or maybe you could have it included in your game. So it's going to be one of those wandering creatures that pops up and tries to threaten your group as you're going off in your sci-fi dungeon delving adventures in Blackstone Fortress.
Yeah.
There's also a different take on the Anvil with the Ambot, which is going to be added into the world of Necromunda as well. So if you like the idea of throwing around a big massive mech in your games of Necromunda, then there's going to be an Ambot that you can throw into there, and it'll start dicing things up as well, which is really cool. Sort of talking of the cities of the Imperium as well, there's also going to be a new codex coming out for the Gene Stealer cults. So they showed off a whole bunch of new models for them. You've got a new Magus that's a very cool new female miniature, and they're also going to be showing off a whole bunch of new characters and troop choices as well. They've really taken to this idea of sort of looking at the kind of kit that the Imperium has for the sort of day-to-day work, so like bikers and that kind of thing, quad bikes and stuff that you may see around on the streets in Imperial City, and how that's been reclaimed by the Gene Stealer cults. We saw that a little bit when they first came out, and we had a look back at their stuff. I think it was from the last edition of the game where we had a look at, their bigger tanks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're also they showed off last year a lot of their bikes and stuff, and now obviously the new characters you can see there too, which is looking very, very cool indeed. And then finally, there's also the announcement that Kill Team is going to be expanding even more. So they're going to be introducing a new supplement and expansion called Arena, which makes the game ultra competitive. So a little bit like how you've got Shadespire with Black Bolt and stuff, where it's the kind of like your Age of Sigmar on the tabletop in a competitive vein. There's also going to be now a 40k version of that with Kill Team, where everything's set up on predetermined maps, and you've got some very like tight sort of organized play rules for playing out some games of Kill Team on the tabletop at gaming clubs and the like as well. So we'll be doing something like that at OnTableTop as well, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's Kill Team was just crying out to get a treatment something along the lines of what they've did with Underworlds, to have. I think it makes sense for them to have two competitive orientated games, especially on the smaller point sizes, because like I know, for example, at the events that we've run at the visitor center, people are struggling with 40k to get 3 turns completed. It's to get a full game in.
Oh yeah,
that's always been 40k.
Yeah, well, 1750 points. Like we ran the Vigilus mega battle where there was 2,000 points per side, and we had armies that struggled to get to turn 3.
Yeah,
even I was in the visitor center on Wednesday night past, and there was 2 guys in playing great armies, really good armies. Who was playing what? I think it was
Raven Guard
and Blood Angels or something, or I can't remember what it was, but I think they got as far as turn 3. Now, obviously they weren't pushing it, but it was. This is why I think for an organized play environment, having something that's more contained, that has the constraints there to ensure that even full games can be played. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how organized play starts to rally around the likes of Kill Team.
It kind of makes sense in so much as don't touch 40k just for the sake of trying to make it play faster. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, it's down to who is playing. If you're going to stand around and have a chit chat, which we do tend to do quite a lot.
Sometimes, occasionally.
But there's other players who'll just come in and go bam straight into it, and they'll get their full game in. But rather than muck around with the mechanics of 40k, saying, well, this has to play faster, this idea of, well, there's the other branch games that you can play is really cool.
But this is the thing, it's like even the two players that had played on the Wednesday night past, they had a fabulous game. They really enjoyed it. They didn't walk away from their game feeling like it was incomplete. They really enjoyed the story that built out. So it's very much left me on the same train of thought as yourself, Lloyd. In that,
you can find,
let the game. If you got a big game, let it be a big game.
Yeah.
Let it be that.
You can find the first 3 turns or 4 turns the most interesting turns of the game anyway. Yeah. Because towards the tail end,
sometimes you're just mopping up a little bit.
You've got an idea of where it's going, unless someone's there going, I'm going to eke out a draw or something.
Yeah.
Which is what I love doing.
Back up into the forest.
Draws!
Yeah, it's an interesting one as well, because you've got the battles themselves in history. It's not like they began and finished at a certain time.
Yeah.
And the idea that you must get to the end of your battle doesn't necessarily. For a tournament, yeah, sure, great. But if you're playing with somebody, as long as you've got a satisfying conclusion as far as your game is concerned, well, that's just where you've got to. The battle may continue for days/weeks.
Yeah, it all comes down to, like, if you're setting out to enjoy yourself, the only question to ask at the end of it is, did I enjoy myself? And clearly they are. In something that's more organized play, though, there are certain requirements that have to be met, and that's where I think that the Kill Team was crying out for this, and I think it's a great move. Interested to see where it goes, and I'm interested to see even if locally people start
if I
to
understand
pick
it
that
correctly, we're getting like a new board and stuff to play on.
Yeah, there'll be a range of maps and things like that,
which is looking distinctly HeroQuest like. Just that,
isn't it? Just
that board,
which is cool because
nice and bright like the HeroQuest board.
But even the actual layout on the where you would have the coloured panels of the rooms, and you've got these big black, which I'm assuming are like pillars that you can't enter or exit.
Yeah.
But it just gives me a very HeroQuest vibe. Which
I like a lot because it helps with the accessibility of Kill Team again.
Yeah.
Because since we've opened the visitor center, we get some people coming in who don't know anything about any of it.
Yeah. And it's been a real learning experience.
And you can talk to them for a bit and they're still like, I don't really understand. So the more things are out, or you take these men and you play on this terrain rather than saying you take these and you play on anything.
Although I think they've missed a trick with this. This could have been HeroQuest for 40k. This isn't. You need to buy Kill Team to run this. This is an amendment to Kill Team. So somebody coming in and you're going, you could play on this would be great, except you'll also need to pick up this book.
Yes, you have to pick up the book because the starter box, the Kill Team starter set, has now been discontinued.
Yeah.
Oh,
which I am.
That sucks balls.
That utterly sucks balls because it was one of the best starter sets ever.
Doing this as you're 14, your friends are into 40k, you don't know whether or not you want to play it. Having this as your price pointed HeroQuest, Kill Team style. Here's your introduction. Here's all the rules in the box. Would have been ideal. This would be a fantastic buy-in. But because you're going to be pushing, and that's not a small book, the Kill Team rule book, it's a nice chunky
Could
book.
have been the new Space Crusade.
Throwing that on top of this box and going, here you go, madam. Would you like that for your little child?
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah,
that may be a barrier to entry. I think they've just missed a trick with that, just having it perfectly set.
I was going to say on the front of that sort of supplement box as well. It does come with rules in there for actually playing in tighter confines. So you know how we were talking about this looked like it was an interior location. There's actually rules in there for.
But the core rules aren't in there, Ben, are they?
What, sorry?
The core rules aren't in there, though, are they?
No, the core rules aren't in that box, as far as I know. No. But also, as well as that, just something else that I missed off from the end of there, they actually announced 2 new Kill Team sets already as well. So if you want to get yourself some sort of predetermined Kill Teams, there's a new one out there for the Adeptus Mechanicus, and there's a new one for the Genestealer Cult as well. And they both feature character models in those sets that you can't get anywhere else. So if you want to get your hands on those, and you can check those out too.
Where are we on this on Crute for Kill Team? Is there a Crute Kill Team?
I've not read the kill team rules, but I'm sure you could probably put together a recruit kill team.
No,
I'm sure that's
apparently, I think there is. I need to read into it, but I've started working on some crude stuff, and I'll show off in the
Are
backstage.
you going to show it off tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's good. So we'll wonder what the crew are going to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mantic.
I was just gonna get back to the other thing that came out from the New Year's stuff as well, just so you're aware, because it's got some Middle Earth stuff in it, and I can't let you.
Oh God forbid we try and squeeze past that. Okay, Ben.
Damn it. So, as well as them doing a new starting box for you to play out some games of Age of Sigmar in, which includes the Flesh Eater Courts and the Skaven, which is looking very cool indeed. We've seen them do this before as well. Also on the fantasy front, they announced they're going to be doing a new supplement for Middle Earth, which will be called Gondor at War, which will allow you to play out scenarios and the stuff based in that kind of like the final movie, so in the final book, obviously, as well, in Return of the King. But also 3 new miniatures that look very, very cool indeed. Well, apart from Legolas's paint job, but we'll skip past that. But there's Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas. The 3 hunters are ready for you to come and pick up on the tabletop very, very soon indeed. And I can't wait. I'm going to pick them up. They look amazing.
Okay, I've got a question. Okay, firstly, that Legolas paint job. Ouch!
He does look like he's been hit in the head with a frying pan.
Yeah, that's.
It's Matt Damon from
It's Matt Damon. Yeah,
Team America.
Team America.
And my second question is: anybody that buys that Aragon model, how will they be able to tell the difference between that and every other Aragon model that they have? Is that not the same pose that he always strikes?
No, because he's running forward this time.
Oh, right.
He's going to be slightly leaned.
He's only been running forward in one of the poses, and that was his Helm's Deep version. But even then, he wasn't wearing his cloak and all that kind of thing as well.
Nerd. But isn't that him getting off the ship with the Kingdom of the Dead behind him? That's actually been pulled from the film. That's him just running forwards.
That is
running
him
off the boat.
Yeah. I like the Gimli model.
Gimli looks awesome. Gimli looks hench, man.
Yeah, I really like the Gimli model. I will say
He looks hench.
The Legolas, not so much.
No, not so much.
Not so much on the Legolas.
Did you get through all the movies, Ben, over Christmas?
I did get through all the movies. It did take all of New Year's Eve and most of New Year's Day to do it because my girlfriend was very tired. But we still managed to watch all of it.
I have number 3 in the Lord of the Rings trilogy to watch. So I've got the first 2 down, and then I'm going to move on to The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Are you watching the extended versions though?
Of course.
Watching whatever's on Netflix.
Yeah, no, forget that. You need to watch the extended.
I don't have time for the extended.
No. The extended versions are the only versions that actually make any sense.
Yeah. I fell asleep in the cinema during Return of the King, and I woke up, and even though I'd been asleep for a while, I was like, "What I missed?" Because this was for the release of the third. We went to the premiere.
Oh, you went specifically to see it,
and we had a few beforehand. I woke up and my mate went, "No, you haven't missed anything. You've been asleep for like 20 minutes, and all they've done is walk. They've been in the swamp forever." I was just like, "Oh, that's okay then."
See, the only reason I put it on was because I tried watching the Warcraft movie. In fact, I watched all of it, and straight after it put Lord of the Rings on to make myself feel better.
Oh,
so I was just like, this movie's not it.
You've not even played Warcraft. It takes it to a whole other level of terrible when you actually know what's going on.
I'm going to defend it.
No, it's bad.
I feel like a Justin here at the moment.
No, that movie is bad.
I'm going to defend it. I thought it had a lot of potential.
It has potential.
Especially because
that doesn't. If I'm potentially good, doesn't mean I'm good.
I would love to have seen them do more of it because one of the things that I really liked about that was just how big and epic magic was in that. You know, one of the problems I have with Lord of the Rings, right, is that you had Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White. Okay, yes. Gandalf the Grey could cast a silent fart, and Gandalf the White could do a slightly noisier fart.
That was who they call him, the Brown.
Yeah. Oh yes, that was the Brown. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like the magic in Lord of the Rings was up.
Yeah.
It really was a bit naff. You know, there was like the only spell that I can actually remember from Gandalf is where he would make everything go dark and rumble and go, "Do not take me for a fool, little hobbit." You know, so where he starts talking in old black tongue or whatever it's called. You know, where was the big epic spell swinging and stuff like that? Whereas World of Warcraft like the magic was massive in that movie. It had real potential.
The whole movie it just felt contrived,
and I liked that the orcs didn't start out as green.
Yeah,
I like the fleshy orcs.
Fleshy orc.
I liked a fleshy orc.
But it introduced characters and it killed them, and I'm like, I don't care about that character.
Yeah.
That does nothing for me.
Oh,
Am I supposed to care at this point?
Plot
I'm
holes
sorry,
you
I
could
don't.
drive, an 18-wheeler through. They were just so even. We're digressing slightly here, but you get used to that. There's that massive magical barrier between the orcs and the humans when they're about to get killed up, and a few humans get trapped, including your Manu's son, Ragnar's son, so probably either the bonus or something. Mm-hmm. He's trapped on the other side, and you've got him trying to reach through and reach. He almost gets there, but he just can't, and then knock back. And then as it pulls away, the wizard is sitting with a griffin right above the barrier and just flies down to pick the body up, and you're going, could you not have done that like 30 seconds earlier when my son was still alive? You watched me reach through, you ignored me, and then you fetched his corpse back. God bless you for that, I suppose.
A good wizard will do that.
Well, yeah, well, son of a gun.
It's unfortunate because clearly it was built around more movies and stuff.
Yeah,
I got to the end of it. That's never getting another movie.
it's never getting another
quickly Googled
movie.
it and went, never in a million years.
Well,
We're just missing the CGI
point
exclamation marks.
I
over
watched
people.
Lord of the Rings to feel better.
Wow.
And the point is, you need to watch the extended versions to truly
To
appreciate
feel
it.
even more better.
Just watch Willow.
Willow.
Right. There's an RPG coming. Okay. Yes, another one. This one is Mantic and Red Scar are working on a Kings of War RPG. Ben, what do we know about it, mate?
Yeah, so I think it was during that sort of 12 Days of Christmas blog posts, Mantic put out a couple of sort of feelers about what's happening with the Kings of War RPG, set in the world that will no longer be called Mantica. It'll be called something else entirely.
Ronica.
So Mantic and Red Scar are working together on this. It's been sort of in the works for a while. There's going to be a little bit more news coming out about it over the next couple of weeks, which will be very interesting indeed. It's set to kind of build on the world as it already exists and try and look further afield as well. There should be a picture in that post which shows off what they've actually shown of their fantasy world and what actually exists on the wider scale. So as you can see, the planet is much, much bigger than we already thought, which is very cool indeed. So there's plenty of options to go and explore different sort of cultures and all that kind of thing in different environments. One of the other really interesting things about this that they came out in the sort of announcement is they're going to be trying to sort of add a little bit more sort of cross-compatibility with the games that already exist from Mantic. So if you play through your heroes in the Kings of War RPG, you'll also then be able to use them in the likes of Dungeon Saga and Vanguard and, of course, Kings of War itself. So those heroes that you maybe get up to epic level in their campaigns through their role-playing system will then be able to take to the tabletops themselves and play out in huge battles as well, which I thought was really cool. Because it also means that one of those things where, you sit down to play a role-playing game and you get to a big battle, maybe it's hard to sort of play out. You've suddenly now got all the Kings of War rules to play out those big things as well on the tabletop, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, looking forward to see what they're doing with it. Red Scar have done some really good stuff in the past, so hopefully it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Sort of
What
mechanically.
do we know of Red Scar? What have they done in the past?
I'm trying to remember the name of their role-playing game now, and it's
Devil's Run?
Yes, that's it, Devil's Run. So they've done a cool Devil's Run one, which was the sort of like post-apocalyptic game. So yeah, they've gone through that, and they've developed a really cool system for that one, which I thought was really cool, based on 3D6. So really nice to see how it comes together for their fantasy game as well.
When do we find out what they're calling the world?
I don't know.
I'm hoping Sunday.
I gotta admit, I really disliked it being called Mantica.
It's really weird. I was listening to an interview with Ronnie just before Christmas when he announced that it wasn't going to be Mantica any longer. Yes. And he essentially said it was a throwaway name. They needed a name for the world, and it was like, well, who cares what it's called? People are going to be playing the game. Call it Mantica. It was just that. Never really thought that, because at that stage it was supplementary to Warhammer. It was another way that people could use Warhammer armies before Kings kicked off. The idea that the Warhammer world was going to be exploded, and all of a sudden they'd have a big influx of people coming into Kings of War, and a lot of people going, well, where is the fluff? Where's the backstory? And there wasn't any, because it had been secondary. The game, and the fact that the game worked and worked beautifully, was more important than having the fluff behind it. And now they're playing catch up almost. So you've got Dungeon Saga's added a bit. last year there was a set of short stories, and off the back of those short stories, I think 3 people have been commissioned to expand their short stories into big novels and in trilogy. Vanguard has arrived, which is like Black Ops for Kings of War. It's added a bit more fluff, and then you've also got some bits and pieces in like the Clash of Kings annuals. But this, I think, in the same way that Warhammer was built off the back of their war roleplay system, there's so much more you can do in a book and expand upon and have the background, have the cities, have the world, which you don't see even if you're playing the actual war game. And this is an ideal way to do that. This is a way to flesh out those backstories and actually have the Basileans be those terrible paladins who theoretically are good, but they're good in the same way that if your arm is infected, cut off your arm. And Basilea do that with whole regions, but we haven't seen that yet because they're just a holy paladin army on the battlefield. Whereas now you'll be able to go, well, look what they did to Sing Sing. Where's Sing Sing? Exactly. Gone now, salted. Nothing grows there, but it's not infected with the abyss anymore. You can say that for them. And having this, I'm really looking forward to. I might be a bit of a Kings of War fan. I don't know if that's apparent. Dwarves, Ben. Dwarves are legends. But this map, this was actually done by a guy on
If you click
Tinterweb.
that and get bigger.
Yeah, I'm going to remove Ben as well for a second.
Not much bigger.
No, not much. But
It's still very tiny.
the very center of it, where you've got the colored section, that is the Mantica map as it currently stands.
Yes.
That's what you've seen. So whenever they've gone, here is the world, every army is inside that map.
Yeah.
And he's photoshopped this over the top of a bunch of elves in a library. It's actually a beautiful piece of full artwork.
They've just realized they're all like. Are they realizing like there's a bigger world for them? To
No. They know, but this is them planning. And this was a little. It wasn't even mentioned. It was just a little teaser until somebody on one of the forums went, "That's a huge map of the world," because there's the tiny map of the current world in the middle of that.
Yeah,
And they went, "Oh yeah, did you notice that? Yeah. There's a much bigger. Elves knew, dwarves knew. Dwarves aren't coming out of their halls." But yeah, so fun times.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have Suburbia, the Collector's Edition, Ben.
Yeah, so I love Suburbia. It's like SimCity and City Skylines on the tabletop, and it's great. I love it. It's amazing. And Bezier Games are coming back to the tabletop, and they've created a collector's edition of the game, which puts together all of the expansions for the game, as well as a new one called Nightlife, and then has it all collected into a lovely new package, which has beautiful new artwork, some really nice new components. There's a really cool new sort of like central board that has a cool 3D tower on it for no other reason than because they can. And all the new components have been upgraded and all that kind of thing as well. For those of you who haven't heard of Suburbia, as I say, it's a little bit, it's pretty much, as I said at the beginning, it's like SimCity on the tabletop. You're sitting down to build your city, building all the regions for it, trying to keep everything in time. In terms of like the economy and your population, and everyone happy at the same time as well. And of course, the person at the end of the game with the most points is the winner. But there's some really cool sort of aspects in there that are really cool. Like there's a little marketplace that goes around, and things cost a lot more at one end, and obviously very little at the other. And you've got to try and buy those tiles out before other people and build your city up. And so you've got lots of backstabbing as well, as you might imagine. It's something that involves real estate. So yeah, looking very, very cool indeed. And I may end up picking this up, even though I already have the original edition. I may pick up the collector's one as well.
Even if you don't pick it up, bring the edition you do have with you, because I totally want to give this a shot.
It's so cool.
I was addicted to
SimCity. Yeah.
Here's the thing though, because how do you pronounce the company name, Ben?
Bezier Games.
See, I looked at that and I immediately went, Beezer. That's a Beezer game.
That's a Beezer game.
Which is just so nern. It's not funny.
That's Beezer.
That is Beezer.
Hello, I'm Carlos from Corvusville Infinity, and you're watching The Weekender.
Boy, do we have a terrain system to show you. So the guys over at Weird, makers of Malifaux, just completely kind of out of the blue decided to make a terrain system. I want to call it a system because it looks really modular to me. Ben, what do we know about this? And
well, they've been doing some stuff in the past for this. They actually worked with a company, well, terrain-wise, really, they worked with a company a little while back called Plascraft, and they did what was called the Color Red range. So this was a lot of stuff that we'd seen from them, which was kind of like this like foam-based stuff, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But over the last sort of 6 months of last year, coming into this new year, they started showing off a lot more previews for this plastic stuff.
yeah,
And obviously, we've seen Weird doing some amazing stuff when it comes to the miniature side of things, and so it kind of makes sense in such a thematic world as Malifaux for them to be building stuff that was very, very bespoke to their world. And so that's where we get a lot of the stuff that we see here, which is the plastic train that they're working on right now. So
yeah, well, let's take a look at this. So this is the terrain here, and it is all. It's like really, really heavy duty stuff. You know, there's no, and look at that. It even comes with interior details. Let me see if I can get a camera angle here.
If you have this one, I've left the front of this one.
Just look at that.
So one of the things that really interested me when I was looking at this was the fact that on the back of the box as it went, visit our website and see how else you can build this. And then there was also a massive sort of towered structure. And what they've done is they've put together a set or system that's completely interchangeable. So the solarium you have,
that's this bad boy here. So let me move that into here. So just take a look at that. You know, again, full interior.
Yeah.
it's just so beautiful.
It is a touch of madness. Every piece of it is double side textured, if that makes sense.
Well,
so
we can show that actually. So there's a roof piece there. If you just flip that over, you know, it's
so you've got that on both sides. Likewise, some of the other pieces like this, which is flagstones, with a grate in it, which is the roof from the abandoned store. But on the bottom, you've actually got the ceiling tiles. Yeah. So it becomes more than just a terrain system. When you've got it, there's only one way you can build the pieces. Yeah. But it leaves an awful lot of potential for extra modeling and sort of detailing, or even turning something like that into a diorama or display. Yes. Because when that's put together, you don't notice the details in there. You don't see the herringbone floor. You don't see little wicker basket. There's claw marks from an animal down the plaster on the inside of one building. There's knocked over bottles of wine, that sort of thing. So just as pieces to work on, to paint, there's so much potential in there.
That has so much potential to do little dioramas and the likes, doesn't it?
We'll check this one out under this camera here, right?
That one's particularly
have a look at
nice.
This.
That's part of the Haunted Spires. So
that's the outside, obviously. Yeah. Right, but where you see when I pop the inside open. So let's just, like you say, Jerry, there's a roof on it.
Yeah.
I'll pop it. Ta-da!
So
off it goes.
Roof goes
reveal.
away.
Look at all the stuff that's in there.
Table,
you put
chair.
all that stuff in there, Jerry, did you?
Every piece has got a lug and like a mortise and tenon.
They're only temporary or temporary.
Some of them are. These ones I haven't glued down. Yeah. Because
so like
I'm looking
this
at
one
it.
Here, they have a wee kind of lug at the bottom. Yeah. And they just kind of pop in, and they get pegged into place.
Yeah. Exactly. So
can you stack them?
That gets lost. You can stack them, and this is the thing I really like about this system. So this, for example, is the haunted spires. So that's your base, and that's the roof.
Yeah.
Lloyd's Cup.
That's the roof.
So so that comes like that.
Yeah.
But all of the roofs are based with the same sort of just flat generic piece. Yeah. So this piece, which has the really nice sort of chamfered and detailed bottom, can actually go on top as a second story.
Oh, look at it!
And then, if we put his lid back on, which I think is this one, he originally comes with the glass roof from the solarium, which in and of itself is quite nice. Or you could put on the haunted spires, or you could put on the shack roof from the abandoned storehouse.
And can we go up further then?
You could, if I bothered to build another one, you could have gone again.
We could have went up a bit further. Oh man!
Yeah. And the thing about this, because it's made for Malifaux, it looks fantastic, but it could quite easily be...
I'd take that into any fantasy game.
Well, that's it. There's no reason why you can't have it in any fantasy game. I will say a couple of things, having built these.
Yeah.
One, dry fit everything, because this piece in particular, he said spinning it, this front little turret.
Yeah.
There's a artifact in it from where it's come off the sprue, and the two pieces don't go together. So dry fit first, because occasionally you might just need to trim something off the inside. Now it's just a bit of sprue that just needs to be clipped away.
Yeah.
But if I put glue down first and slammed it on, I'd have been quite
Cracking looking,
annoyed.
though. Let's
yeah.
show that up.
It's
Oh, it's absolutely
it's
stunning.
beautiful. So each of those we kind of like
It's a wood.
dots or
It's a wooden.
clam.
Yeah, it's like a wooden shingle. I think it's like a black forest sort of look, where it's somebody's obviously
Sure,
used
because
wooden.
looking closely at them, they look like clams to me.
It does have detailing on it. It does have that sort of striation.
Yeah.
But it could be wooden shingles. You could paint them as clams. You can go nuts. You can paint them slate or whatever you want. That's
Yeah.
the nice thing about it. But the inside of all the roofs is hollow with this flat base.
Yeah.
A couple of magnets in there, because the only thing is you've got texture on the floors, and you've a potential for them to slide about because there's no lugs to lock individual
Yeah.
floors together.
Uh-huh.
So
There's glue, Jerry.
there's I'm not gluing it.
It's not
Why would
modular if you
It's
glue
not
it.
glued if you. Oh, yeah,
I don't want it modular. I just want a lot of it.
because all the floors are separate, and then you've got the bases, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, the plastic you can see on this one is probably a good 4 to 5 mil thick.
Yeah, it's, like there's a lot of plastic.
There's
in this.
plenty of room to just stick a couple of magnets in it, alternating corners all the way, and just
Yeah.
give yourself rigidity. So if somebody knocks it, you don't end up with it plowing over and
But
taking
they
out
also
half the
have
thing.
these other bits like the fine.
They do. They
Yeah.
do 3 buildings,
Yeah.
but they also do 2 sets. One is pathways, which contains sets of steps and a rune building, and then the other one is the defenses, which contains this peculiar fountain, and then a set of little sort of wooden fences and walls.
steps and things
Yeah.
in as well.
And these are just literally just 4 or 5 sets of steps plus a 3-walled rune shack.
Yeah.
And then the fountain is the same. It's a fountain, a rune shack, and then a couple of. So you get a small little tiny building plus some extra generic bits that you can chuck
This is
in
cool.
there.
Like the details and
Oh, it's just
Detail, and the detail
incredible.
everywhere you look.
Yeah.
Literally everywhere. Things that when these are put together and painted, people are never going to see the ottoman or the picture frames halfway up a wall
Yeah.
that have been knocked about, and
in here.
yeah. I mean, not going to happen. Nobody's seeing those ever. They'd be all left off in my world. I'd put them to a bits box for something else. But the potential to do 3 sides or 2 sides and do them as dioramas, it's crying out for it.
It's just such a beautiful kit. I was absolutely, the more that it came out of it, and the more it went together, the more blown away I was by it, and the quality of it, the weight. It's a heavy.
Oh yeah.
Quality based. You're lifting it and you're going.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot to knock blocks off that.
Yeah.
so this has come what? Pre-order now or out for now or what?
It's past. I think the last things that went up for the pre-order were the walls and pathways, but the buildings are out already, and they may actually have passed pre-order and just be for general release by this stage.
Yeah.
There's one piece which we haven't seen yet that I'd seen them preview when they did the preview last year, which was they'd actually done almost like the Realm of Battle board. It was like a town square that these buildings and pathways set into. It's 2-leveled and made up, and it's all hard plastic as well. So that may be coming early in early this year. I was going to say next year. Early this year, hopefully, because it's the only piece from those original previews that we haven't seen yet. Because now we've got the 3 buildings, we've got the walls, we've got the fountain and everything else. So.
I was thinking maybe that kind of stuff will come out when they start to look towards the other side and getting that out for sort of more general release. So they've got that other game within their system potentially. So,
and of course, Malifaux 3rd edition beta released this week past. So we're going to see a 3rd edition of that, at which point I'm hoping that they decide to keep running with this and add to the system.
Oh, I want to see so much more of this. It's just the quality of it is immense. Absolutely.
I was going to say, considering it was weird building this terrain, I thought they were maybe going to put together a kit where you had to build everything brick by brick, because you obviously have to stick faces and hands on all their miniatures. So
there are some weird, pardon the pun, there are some unusual ways that the roofs fit together, and you're looking at them at the time and you're going, well, clearly these 2 pieces go, no, they don't, and then you realize that it's just you twist it 35 degrees into it, and all of a sudden the join disappears and everything lines up seamlessly, and you're going, that's how that goes.
Yeah, there's some mad evil genius behind some of these pieces. Well, look, it's called Weirdscape Terrain. Do a search for it, or come on across to the site. There's some articles and posts about it. It is absolutely wonderful. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Right, Kickstarter wise, Ben, we have a Kickstarter we want to let people know about from Mystical Games called AV Ghost.
Yeah, this one looks really, really cool. So this one's by Mystical Games. It's on Kickstarter right now. It's got about 15 days left at the time of this show going out as well. It's all funded already, and they're going through stretch goals right now. But it's a board game for 1 to 4 players. So it's big cooperative venture, so it's good for solo play as well, which is good, as we were talking about at the start of the show. Mm-hmm. And there are 6 different cases for you to play through, where you are going to be playing as investigators going out to try and solve ghostly goings-on and defeat ghosts and monsters and all kinds of things like that. It's all supported by a digital app. And the really big selling point of the game is that you play it in the dark. So each of the different characters has a base on the bottom which has a little light built into it. Right. And this is your flashlight that you use to look around the rooms and everything like that. Before you start the game, before you turn off the lights and everything, you actually have to go around at the start of the case, putting down all your equipment, looking for sort of like all those weird sound recordings and that kind of thing. It's like EMF and that kind of weird stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And then you turn off the lights and things start to go bump in the night. And you're sort of wandering around these passageways trying to work out how you're going to stop the ghost and all this kind of things like that. The other really cool thing about that I thought was really fun is that for certain aspects of the game, so certain clues that you have to find and certain ghosts that you have to defeat, you actually have to go around and use little filters that you put in front of your flashlight on your miniature, which will change the color of your light to defeat certain ghosts. So they've got some really cool, funky little things in there. And for someone who really likes Portrait at the House of the Hill, I think this is that kind of like next level up. And I love the look of it from some of the stuff we've been seeing in some of the previews and stuff like that. And of course, the little gameplay videos they've got on their Kickstarter page too. As I say, it sounds really interesting. They've got 6 different cases for you to get stuck into, each of them with their own sort of like themes to it as well. There's sort of like a little bit of a randomly set up to like how the board works, the board works and stuff as well, which I thought was really good. And of course, through stretch goals, they're going to be hopefully looking to add a lot more cases into the mix, and of course, lots of new investigators and monsters at the same time as well. But yeah, just something that's a little bit quirky, a little bit different, a little bit sort of weird as well, which I thought was really good. And yeah, something to go and check out on Kickstarter if you want to see something a little bit, off the wall.
Fantastic. I really like the little bits of innovation now that are continuing to creep in to the Kickstarters and board games. So I'm with you on that one, Ben. I want to play that. So we'll see if we can get our hands on it at some point and maybe sit down and get a let's play.
I think it'd be so much fun.
It will. I don't know how on earth we'd film it, but we'll work it out.
Scooby-Doo.
It's got like the little change in the lights with the gels and stuff's appealing. Just those little interesting
Touches.
bits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 15 days left on that. Guys, thank you very much. Why not come across and support the OnTableTop project by becoming a backstager? Because tomorrow we have the XLBS version, and I think the 3 of us are going to be sitting down unsupervised.
Have we got a plan?
No, we don't have a plan. In fact, you're going to love it. This is a running order for the Weekender, okay? And for XLBS, I've been handed this. That
one link.
That is it. That is it. So
That's all you need.
It was basically Sam had sent it. Only you, Lloyd, and Jerry. You're on your own. That's it. So join us tomorrow morning, and we will see how that goes. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Always a pleasure. Remember, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, ding my dong, and comment below. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Ben. Thank you to you guys. Happy 2019. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and be sure to check out beastsofwar.com for the latest gaming news and gaming let's plays. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.